Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're virtually exploring the Bog Boardwalk at Hayes Lake State Park in Minnesota. I'm ready to dive into this unique ecosystem. But first, maybe you could tell me what makes a bog so special.
Well, it all comes down to water.
Water.
Yeah, you see, bogs are like giant sponges formed in areas with, well, poor drainage.
Okay.
So they're constantly saturated with rain and snowmelt. It creates a really unusual environment.
So if we were standing there on the boardwalk, what would we see around us?
You'd be surrounded by these tall trees, tamarack and black spruce.
Underfoot.
Underfoot? What? Not solid ground.
Nope. It's like this springy carpet of sphagnum moss. Yeah. And that moss is what really defines a bog.
I see. So does that spongy, mossy ground affect what kinds of plants can grow there?
Oh, absolutely. It does. Bogs have acidic soil, like really nutrient poor.
Oh, wow.
Most plants would struggle. Yeah. But some have evolved these amazing adaptations. Is that where those carnivorous plants come in? Sorensen mentioned sundews and pitcher plants.
Exactly. They don't eat insects just for fun, you know?
Right.
Those insects give them vital nutrients that are missing in the bog's soil.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, so like sundews, they trap insects with their sticky tentacles.
Sticky tentacles.
And pitcher plants, they lure them into those pitcher-shaped leaves.
So they get digested.
Exactly.
It's amazing how they survive in such a tough environment.
It is, yeah.
Now, I read that this bog was formed by that massive glacial Lake Agassiz.
You mean when it retreated?
Yeah. Yeah. What's the connection?
So picture this massive glacier, right?
Yeah.
Slowly melting. The weight of the ice had compressed the land, and as it melted, it left behind this vast flat space.
Right.
Yeah, and with very little drainage. Perfect for a bog.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're walking along this boardwalk surrounded by all these unique plants. What else might we see?
Keep an eye out for lady slippers.
Lady slippers.
Yeah. If we're lucky and it's the right time of year, they might be blooming. They're this type of orchid. Pink and white flowers, they're beautiful.
Wow. Are they tough enough for the bog, like those carnivorous plants?
You know, they are. Orchids have this symbiotic relationship with fungi in the soil, which helps them get nutrients.
Oh, so that's how they get the nutrients they need.
Exactly. Especially important in a nutrient-poor environment like a bog.
It seems like every plant here has a survival trick.
Right.
And I read there are interpretive panels along the boardwalk, too.
Yes. Those panels provide more info about the bog's ecosystem, how it formed, you know, and all about the plant and animal life.
So they help you understand what you're looking at.
Exactly.
So as we keep walking on the boardwalk, what's next?
Well, the boardwalk will take us closer to Hayes Lake.
Hayes Lake.
Yeah. It's actually man-made.
Oh, I thought it was natural. But I guess man-made lake can still be pretty, right?
Oh, for sure. It has these spectacular shoreline views where the water meets the forest edge, you know?
Right.
And Hayes Lake is really peaceful. They only allow electric motors, so it's quiet.
So it's really a quiet, serene experience, just the sounds of nature.
Yeah, it is a perfect place to just soak it all in.
Soak in the sights and sounds of the bog and the lake.
Yeah, you might hear the wind like rustling through the leaves, you know, or the songs of birds.
Birds.
Yeah, like flitting through the trees.
Wow.
Or maybe even frogs croaking from the lake.
Sounds so peaceful.
Yeah.
Now, the sources mentioned other things to do at Hayes Lake State Park besides the boardwalk.
Oh, yeah.
What else is there?
Well, if you want to spend more time in nature, there's a campground.
Campground.
Right in the woods.
Nice.
Or if you like a little more comfort, they have these camper cabins too.
Oh, that's great. Having options is always good.
Yeah.
Different levels of roughing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else that stands out to you about the park?
Well, they have a fishing pier, if you're into fishing.
A fishing pier.
Yeah, it goes right out into the lake.
Nice.
It's a perfect spot to just relax and cast a line.
Catch some fish.
Yeah, and maybe even see some of the lake's inhabitants.
Oh, cool. So we've got the bog, the lake, places to stay overnight. Is there a beach, too, for swimming?
Well, yes, there is.
Awesome.
On a warm day, you can cool off in Hayes Lake or just hang out on the sand.
Sounds like they really have it all.
Yeah.
But beyond all the fun stuff, what about the history of Hayes Lake?
History.
Yeah, did the sources say anything about that?
Yes, actually. The park is named after A.F. Hayes.
Hayes?
Yeah, he was an early settler and pretty important in the region's development.
Wow.
And if you explore the trails, you might even find Alva Hendershot's grave.
Hendershot.
Yeah, he was the first homesteader in the area.
So the park is named after Hayes, and the first homesteader was Hendershot.
Right.
That's interesting. So we've got these tangible reminders of the people who were there before,
Yeah.
lived and worked on the land. It's fascinating how these places have both natural history and human history, you know,
I agree. It really makes you appreciate how important it is to preserve these places.
for their history and for the environment.
Exactly.
Well, we've made our way along this virtual boardwalk, and we've encountered these incredible plants.
Yeah.
We learned about glaciers and even a little bit about the human history.
It's amazing, isn't it?
What stands out to you as the most remarkable thing about this bog?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's the resilience of the ecosystem.
The resilience.
Yeah. It thrives in these challenging conditions, you know?
The acidic soil, all the moisture.
Right. And yet it supports all this life.
It really shows the power of adaptation.
It does.
Nature finds a way.
It really does. And it makes the bog even more special, don't you think?
Yeah, it really does. It's pretty remarkable when you think about it,
Mm.
how it all came to be. You know, all those plants and how they adapted and everything.
Yeah. And it shows you how much we can learn from nature, even from a place like a bog, you know?
Absolutely. There's beauty and ingenuity in those adaptations. So as we wrap up our virtual tour of the Bog Boardwalk at Hayes Lake State Park, is there anything else we should mention about this particular bog?
Well, it's important to remember that Hayes Lake is just one example of many bog ecosystems, I mean.
Oh, right. There are more.
Yeah, there are tons all over Minnesota.
Wow. Each one with its own, unique features.
Exactly, and its own stories.
I have to admit, this deep dive has really changed how I see bogs. I used to think they were just, well, swampy, kind of boring. But now I see them in a whole new light.
I get it. That's the beauty of exploring and learning, isn't it? It changes how we see the world.
I couldn't agree more.
And I bet there are lots of people out there who underestimate bogs, just like you did.
Trouble.
But hopefully this deep dive has given our listeners a little taste of what makes these ecosystems so special. And maybe, just maybe, they'll be inspired to explore a bog near them.
To all our listeners, if you
Yeah.
ever get the chance to visit a bog, go for it. You might be surprised by what you find.
I think you will.
And that brings our deep dive to a close. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep exploring.